So, for those of you who may not know, I have 4 children, 2 boys, 2 girls. Well, I always tell my oldest son, who is 7, that he is my favorite. In actuality, he probably is my favorite, but you're not supposed to have favorites. So, I tell him he's my favorite, and he's not supposed to tell anybody that he's my favorite. And some days he's not my favorite. Another one is. But 9 times out of 10, he is. I mean, he will run outside in front of me just to open up my door for me. He gives me hugs when I really need them, and he knows when to say the right things. And he's my first boy, a mama's boy. He's sweet, and he is my favorite, but don't tell anybody. But back to why I'm recording this. I put notes in my 2 big kids' lunches every day, or almost every day, and I normally get them put into their lunchbox and zipped up. Well, they didn't have their lunch boxes in the house. They left them in the car. So their notes were sitting on their lunches because they needed to carry them to the car. And in my oldest's note, I was writing something really quick, and I said, I love you the most. Hope you're having a great day. See you soon. I love you, Mom. Weston's says instructions on how to warm up his meatballs, because if I don't give him instructions on how to do it, it will be a disaster. So, I mean, in the end, I always say, see you soon, I love you. That's what I always say, because by the time they get to lunch, it's only a couple more hours until I get to see them when I pick them up. And then, of course, I love all of them. So, because they were not in their lunch boxes today, my oldest turns her note over, and I guess, I didn't hear how it all played out, but I guess she read it, saw that it said, I love you the most, and decided to read it out loud to her brother, who then in turn says, but I'm Mommy's favorite. Why does she love you the most? So I kind of played it off, and I said, I love y'all all the most. I mean, y'all are all my children. I love you all the most. And I said, Weston, I have to tell her that. I have to tell her I love her the most because you're my favorite. And nobody's supposed to know. Clearly that wasn't good enough, because he's in the living room at this point. I walk into the kitchen. He left his fork on the counter to go in his lunchbox, and I said, who left a fork? And Maddie says, oh, it's Weston's. Weston walks in there, and I see that he is upset, and he is almost in tears. And I said, Weston, what is wrong? And he walks away into the living room. He's got his little hood on his head. His hoodie's on his head. And he's standing by the chair, and I look, and he is bawling. Oh, he's so sensitive. So I looked down and I said, what is wrong? I mean, I knew what was wrong, but I said, what was wrong? And he says, didn't understand what he said, but I imagine it said, I'm supposed to be your favorite. You told Maddie you loved her the most. Now I'm upset because you don't love me. Because he always will say, you don't love me, if I do something to make him mad. Which is not the case. But so, back to what I was saying. So I comfort him real quick because I'm already running late. The baby's still in the bed. I ain't got a shirt on him, nothing. Emerson is laying on the couch, half asleep. She is dressed. with shoes, surprisingly. But I said, Weston, I have to tell her that because, you know, I don't want her feelings to get hurt if she thinks you're the favorite. But you know you're my favorite, Weston. And he kind of perked up a little bit, and Maddie was still doing something, trying to get ready for school, and it was time to leave. I mean, we were late. And so I said, all right, come on, my favorite child. Let's go ahead and get in the car. And he perked right up, which is not unexpected. So he holds the door for me, of course, the front door, and then he runs down the stairs real quick to the car. Not only does he open my door, he opens the baby's side because I have the baby in my arms, still asleep, and he needs to go in his car seat. So, moral of the story, he is my favorite. That sounds bad. That sounds really bad. But he is. But then some days he drives me mad. Like, that Nintendo Switch is crammed up his... And he doesn't listen sometimes. Which I guess that's all kids. And I love Maddie and I love Emerson. But they say there's something special about the boys. And I guess Dawson's just not at the age quite yet where I have that same feeling. Especially considering he threw shit in my face last night. And I didn't tell y'all he did like this. He had it all over. His hand looked brown. Okay, he was brown. And he did like this. He tasted it. Guess he thought it was chocolate. It literally looked like melted chocolate all over his hands. But I saw him reaching, and then he goes, ah, 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 ah. What are you doing? Anyways, so that was my morning. Weston crying because I wrote a note and told Maddie that I loved her the most. And I proceeded to tell Maddie that those notes are special notes and you're not supposed to read them out loud. I mean, come on. Why would you? She did it on purpose. She knew that it would provoke a reaction from Weston, and that is why she did it. So I'm a bit frustrated. And she wonders why she's not my favorite. But then sometimes she is my favorite because she's very helpful. Second moral of the story, you can't have a favorite kid. You just can't. But deep down, you can, and you can make him think that he is your favorite. When in reality, he probably is. Anybody that knows me will tell you that Weston is my favorite. And he usually is. But that's not to say that some days, Emerson's my favorite. I mean, I can literally listen to her talk and laugh at any given moment. She can be a brat, but she is hilarious. And Maddie is just growing up so fast and so sweet and so kind. But then she has this little conniving side where she just wants to piss somebody off. Like this morning, reading that note out loud. And then Dawson is a holy terror. There's no getting around that. He's cute and he's sweet. And he's funny. But he's difficult. I've never had a kid like this. I mean, he literally dug in his diaper, pulled out poop. It was bad. He got a bath. Maybe that's what he wanted. Maybe he wanted to take a bath. Last night wasn't bath night, but it ended up being bath night. 10:30 at night. It's ridiculous. Alright, at this point I'm just rambling. So, enough of this. And again, you can have a favorite, but you shouldn't have a favorite. But if you do have a favorite, you can't let anybody else know. Because, yeah, you just can't. Y'all have a good day.